replacement.mudrfunr here. Today I'm going to be changing the rear wheel bearing on my 08 Malibu. So I'm not a licensed mechanic, just a guy wanting to share some information with you people. So take my advice at your own discretion. Once you get it jacked up in the air, make sure you get some jack stands underneath it. So be careful. Once you get the wheel off, just be careful. I already had this all apart yesterday. I was replacing the rotors on this thing, and I come to find that this bearing was bad. So I put this all back together so that you guys could see exactly how it all comes apart. And so some of the stuff I've already got loose. So first off, I always like to take the caliper apart and take it off in two pieces. So I'm doing smaller bolts here with a 14mm head on them. The little short ones, I'm taking them out. And then this part of the caliper can come off. And I just pushed it aside into the spring out of the way. So then it makes it very easy to get at the back two bolts, which are a 13mm. Can try and keep the pads in this little bracket if you can. The rotor's done. Now on the inside, on the back side, there's 4 bolts back here to get the bearing out, and that's what I'll be doing next. So I'm not sure how good of a shot I'm going to be able to get from this side, but there's the 4 bolts that hold your bearing in, and there's your ABS wire. Get the ABS wire out of the way first. So my rule of thumb is usually the most difficult bolt, try and get that out first, and then it looks like the top front one there might be the worst, and I did manage to get in there. I've got it loose, so I'm going to try the next one, which looks like it might be the other front one, might be the next more difficult one. Hopefully I can get that one with the same setup that I have here. It's coming loose. There we go. Got that one loose too. Okay. Next one up. Next one is the front bottom one. Also with the same setup here. And it seems to be working. Okay. Got the bottom one loose. So now I just have that top rear one, and it looks like I'm going to be able to get at that one also, as long as I can get it loose. But you got the idea. So this is exactly what I've been using. 15 mil deep socket, and you can see that wobbly extension, and just a regular long extension and a 3/8 hatchet. So I'll get the rest of those nuts off and get back to you. So I'm under the car here, just working on the last nut. And all 4 of these are lock nuts, so they're gonna come out hard all the way to the end. Alright, I got all the nuts off. Now, give you a listen here. This is the bearing. Not sure if you can hear that crunching and everything in there, but definitely not good. Let's see how easy that thing's going to come out. Try a little persuasion. Sorry for the lighting in here, not that good. But, so just keep track of your backing plate. Make sure you remember how it was on there, just like so. And it's out. Once you get the old one out, it's always a good idea to compare it with the new one. A little spray in there can't hurt. We're in Canada here, and things like to rust. So with that said, a little bit of spray doesn't hurt anything. Not in this country. Going in there a little too difficult, so there's quite a bit of rust build up on the inside here. I'm going to get that rust off, and then this should slide in a lot better. So what I'm using is just a round file, nothing fancy, and I just basically went around it like this. Get all the rust chips and everything that were built up in there, cut them out. A little more spray for Canada. And then we'll try this again. It's going to fit in there snug, or it should. If you look behind this dust cover here, it should be pretty much flush with this housing here. And it's pretty tight in there already. That's good. That's what you want. And if you're at all in doubt about these lock nuts not holding properly, it's probably a good idea to get some new ones. I'm just going to get all of these started and get my contraption here again and tighten them up. Okay. So they're all on there as far as I can get them on with my hands. Onto my contraption, and I'll tighten them up. So before I tighten all those up, thought I'd give you a little shot of what's making all the noise in the background here. Just at the start of November right now. Getting a little chilly in here. So what I'm doing with all the nuts is I'm just tightening them up until they touch the housing. Got the front two done, and I've just got them tight up to where they start to touch the housing. You don't want to tighten them up unevenly, because then that thing will just go in crooked, because it's not quite tight here yet. And if it goes in crooked, then it might bind, and then you're in real trouble. Take your time, get them in evenly. Okay, they're all up to the housing, so I'm going to do this one a little tighter. There. So now you can tell it's tight everywhere, so I can go ahead and tighten them all. Now I tried to look up the torque specs for this, and I couldn't find anything, so with them being lock nuts, I'm just going to get them good and tight. Now I've got them all snugged up, and I'm going to go back to the first two, just make sure that they're still snug. That's good. And I'm just doing this to make sure that everything pulled itself in nice and evenly and straight. And it did. So the only thing left to do here yet is your ABS wire, and put it back through where it was. And then hopefully you didn't break this clip over on this side here. Clip it all back into place. And if you haven't already cleaned your rotors, which I did the other day, wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of brake clean on them and wipe them down, even if they are used. And I always put the nut on. Now, your brake pads should still be in place if you did this right. If not, they just slip in from the ends, really nice and easy. And I like to spray a little honey goo on the bolts. tried to look up the torque specs for the caliper bracket and for the caliper bolts there. Couldn't find anything, so good and tight is good. Just using a double wrench trick, hooking them together. So there's the end of the cylinder right there, and if you find that the cylinder is out too far, you can't just push these in. And what I managed to do was, this is my tool for my grinder, it just barely fits it on there enough that I can turn it, and these have to be turned in clockwise. It's the only way you're going to get that cylinder in. Yeah, there is a tool to turn these in, which I don't have, but once you get them turned in where you want them, the notches, one should be on the top and one should be on the bottom. So, spray those up too. And again, sorry for the lighting in here today. I run on mostly solar in here, and well, we've had some really bad rainy days, and I don't have the best setup here yet, and I'm just plain running out of juice on my batteries. Actually, I did run out. Good and tight. So I'm just going to get the wheel back on and get back to you. Once you get the wheel back on, I highly recommend torquing the nuts. And always make sure you check the owner's manual. I'm doing mine to 115, and guess what? I didn't check my owner's manual. I believe 115 was right, but don't take my word for it. So just remember, when you go on your first drive, the brakes are going to be a little spongy. Anytime you've had the brakes apart, they're going to be a little spongy. Always pump the brakes a couple of times before you start driving, because they're going to be spongy. Thanks for watching. Hope this video has helped someone out. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Thank you.